And welcome into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and please be with you on this Friday. Excited to be here. Schlegs still probably gallivanting around somewhere in the Caribbean. I think they said he got stumbled up on some island that Jeffrey used to own. So I don't know if he made it off of there or not, or what happened. Oh,
Hey,
holy crap! They let you out of there. I mean, what you now? You're gonna wait for a drink?
no, I just pounded some bucked up.
Some dudes.
Listen, it was an eventful. I couldn't sleep last night. We had to get off. They were like, "Hey, you got to get off at 9 o'clock. You're waiting at 9." Our little room attendants, like at 6 o'clock, like boom. Hey, you got to get out of here. And I'm like, okay, let's go. So we ended up getting off around like 8:30, but we made the drive back. Got some Chick-fil-A in the stomach, and walked in the house. Said hello to the dogs, and we're on a podcast, baby. It's good to be back.
That's good. Well, it's good for you to be burnt because you got a nice little red nose.
Yeah, you look at did my face get thicker because I was eating.
Yeah, all the nitrates, the sodium, all the buffet, endless buffet. How many waffles? How many waffles did you eat in the morning?
I didn't eat any waffles, man. Like here's what I did on this cruise. I ate 2 omelets for breakfast.
Okay.
Drank the coffee, right? The shot of espresso, Americano. So that's probably 2 shots. And lunch, I really didn't have a lot. I had went to the Windjammer, would have like a salad. Okay. Right. Keeping it real. And the only cocktail that I indulged in was Tito soda, 2 limes. Boom. All day, every day. Lots of those. Now at night, when I went to the place, the dining hall, the dining room, sat down, I ate, you know how it is, Bob, like you just order 5 of all the stuff. Okay. Yeah. And I had a lot of appetizers and I always had 2 entrees. And then my guy figured out that I had a fancy for strawberry ice cream, and they'd bring you 2.
I thought you liked the chocolate ice cream.
I do like chocolate ice cream. I don't discriminate when it comes to ice cream, but I like strawberry. And one particular night, I think, I had 4. I was like, hey, I'll do 1 more, and he just brought me 3 more. So I end up having 10 scoops, and of course. Am I gonna like let one of those things go? Absolutely not. I had happy plates and bowls in my area, and I ate them all. And I was like, man, I cannot do that anymore. I was like, listen, you got to cut me off at 4 scoops here, bro. Like I cannot do this. Johnny Rockets. There's a couple times where you came off of, excursion, because every day we were doing excursions.
It's a Royal Caribbean.
Yeah.
There you go.
And Bob, it was funny because it was the Freedom class, the one that we did the Buckeye cruise, the 3,800 people one with the promenade and all that jazz. And it was funny because we went to Dunn's River Falls. And I remember probably a decade ago when you were like, I ain't holding anybody's hands. I'm going rogue. Look at this thing. You remember that, Bob? And it was like, we just took off like onto the side, and it wasn't like crazy dangerous or anything like that. We just didn't want to guide.
Jamaica? Was that Ocho Rios?
Yeah, that was Jamaica. Yeah. We went to the Blue Hole. You remember that?
Yeah, we had the Blue Hole. Ryan was there. AJ. Yeah, I remember.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. That was a lot, dude. Did you jump off the falls?
Oh yeah, 100%. All of them.
Did Faith and Hunter jump? Or I guess
100%. Steph did too. Everybody did.
Even Steph.
Yeah. Really? Yes, 100%.
You act like that. I mean, your wife's not really as adventurous as you are. So don't act like that's something that was like a give me. Like that would have said
she's gotten better in her old age in rucking. Like, she rucks. She rucks like, an hour a day.
Old age about your wife, dude. That's
okay. And older, like as we've gotten older, she's gotten more adventurous, Bob, and she's in good shape. She can handle that. Plus, your kids are 17 and 18, and you don't want to be that parent that doesn't want to do things. And she's just like, let's go.
I try to tell Courtney that. I was like, I never want to have my kids say, Dad, can you go do this? The answer is yes. I'm like Urban Meyer. The answer is yes. Whatever the question is, the answer is always yes. So, Dad, can we go do this? Like, we want you to do this with us. And I was talking to AJ. I'm going to do a Blue Angels flight in August. And AJ has done a Thunderbirds and a Blue Angels. So we had an awesome conversation about that, him throwing up. And he told him, he's like, dude, you just got to be ready. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to say yes to this. I'm going to know it's going to be terrible. And I asked him, I go, which was worse, the second or the first? Because the first, you didn't know what you were getting into. The second one, you've already experienced it, so you know how bad it was. He's like, that's a good point. That second one, I knew I was going to throw up. Like, not that I didn't for the first, but I knew how bad it was going to be when they pull like the 8 Gs or whatever. And I asked him, I go, it's the Tom Cruise quote where you're going to feel like an elephant is sitting on your chest. And I go, is it like that? He goes, yeah, they're teaching me all this stuff. It was awesome. He goes, I'm like pressing with my feet through the ground, trying to do all the things like push blood up back into your head. And he goes, I think I just started screaming one time. It's like even before we're starting, because they probably thought I was such a weirdo back there.
That's okay. You got to do what you got to do. I mean, those guys are trained professionals, and you're just up there first time. They're trying to pull all these G's. And it reminds me, because they're doing an air show. They're going to come train at the Armory. It's like, I got to call that guy back. Yeah. Because I want him in there getting bumpy before they go up there and take you out.
Yeah, it's probably in August when they're going to take me. So tell them, dude, full deal. I go, Age, because he goes, I get car sick. I go, do you think it's the thing if you were flying the plane that you would actually be better? And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, probably not. So, yeah, it was a fun time. It was good. I mean, we had a bunch of great shows without you, Schlegs. So I don't know.
Of course you did. I got to catch them as much as I could with the Wi-Fi package.
I know you're jumping in the chat during the show. I'm like, is that really Schlegs talking right now?
It was so spotty. Like there was no way I could have done a show on there, regardless. Yeah. And I mean, I had to get to an island of some sort to where it all of a sudden popped up. I paid the $15 for international talk, and I'm like, oh, I'm on. And I'm like, I'm gonna go check out the show. And it was hilarious. And I'm like hopping into the chat for like 5 seconds. And then poof, I was either doing an excursion or Wi-Fi just was gone. And it was like SOS. So
all right.
I'm back though. I'm ready. I know you had a great show. We have great guests. I wish I could have been on.
We got Berm this week. We got Berm today. He's going to be hopping on here in about 5 to 10 minutes. And it's awesome because Ohio State's had 2 weeks of camp. They have OVs, all this recruiting. And so he's the guy to talk to with all this. We had Favorite Key just committed. He's a running back out of Delaware. I was talking to Carlos about him, Lachlan, last week. And I did like the little business and school meeting with him. Awesome family, great parents. And so it was cool doing that. I've got another meeting over here today after this, Schlegs. That's why we need to go a little earlier and get that popping with everything. So Berm will get us all caught up with where we're at with the recruits, what things look like moving forward, how they're going to be able to operate with all of that. But I wanted to jump in with this, Schlegs. We start talking all the time about different things, and since I was talking to Ebner and Heartline and some of the coaches today. I go, listen, this isn't recruiting, because Nate was talking about what they're doing, and I go, practice versus players. I go, dude, it's all about the players. You got to get the dudes. Having great dudes, high quality individuals, they'll coach themselves up. You'll just have to give them a little bit of information. They're going to work hard. They're going to do it, but you got to find them. I go, you got to find like a guy like Gronk. You think you need to coach him a whole lot? Gronk never watched film. And he's like, you're talking about a unicorn. I go, that's right. We're not recruiters. We're unicorn hunters. Find them and kill them or catch them and bring them back.
Wrangle them in here.
Find the unicorns and bring them in. Like, that's all that I care about. And they've been doing this cool thing on Instagram that I've seen. I don't even know who's doing it. Pat, if you want to go to the wide receiver yards in the NFL.
Oh, I saw that.
It's pretty remarkable. I've looked through a bunch of these because they've had them for tight ends. I haven't seen running backs yet. They had defensive ends, quarterbacks, which Ohio State's the one position where they're not in great shape. We start talking about which university has the most NFL receiving yards, like in total, with all the receivers. And it's interesting, like thinking about it, like Pat, if we can toss that up, because they've got Stanford at 10. And Michigan State at 9, you start thinking of like Plaxico Burress from Michigan State, like some of the great players that they've had. Then you start thinking about Florida State and Peter Warwick and guys that have been in the league and everything they've done. Tennessee, with Peerless Price and Dante Stallworth, other dudes and guys, especially going back in the day. Michigan, with what they've had, and Braylon Edwards and Desmond Howard is photoed. And then you get to the top 5. So you have Florida, USC, and as I'm getting here, I'm wondering, I'm like, man, Ohio State's pretty good. but are they going to be number one? And when
Mhm.
USC was at number 4, and I'm like, all right, they've got Keyshawn Johnson, who was one, number 1 overall pick. They've had a number of guys since then. Like they've had some dudes roll through there that have proven pretty damn good. All right, and I was like number 3, because I was worried. I'm like, LSU has had a ton of dudes lately. If you just pump forward to 3 there, Pat. LSU has had a ton of dudes lately. And you start thinking Justin Jefferson's there, Jamar Chase, and this is what's Ohio State's gonna have to ball, because those 2 dudes are going to be rolling up like 10,000 career yards apiece with that. So they've got that rolling in there. You've got, what's his name? Oh my gosh, I can't even think of it. Number 13, who was with the Giants, the Browns, and Pat, who the heck am I talking about here? Schlegs, you're of no help right now. Who is there? Blonde hair.
I'm trying to think.
What do you mean you're trying to think? Like, I just went and got my concussion second. Odell Beckham Jr. So you got him.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. Your rock jaw head is providing nothing to me. I mean, I was doing this for the whole opening 15 minutes.
God bless you, man. God bless you.
I tried to throw one thing off you. Like, I don't know who that is. What's going on?
I don't know. Well, you said blonde hair, and I kind of thought of a white guy. And I'm like, white wide receiver at LSU. Who are we talking about?
Well, we're talking about.
I started thinking about Hester. I'm like, he played fullback.
Yes. So when LSU was at 3, I was like, okay. I was just curious who. I'm like, Ohio State's either 1 or 2 now. Who could it be? And I click over, it's like the U. And of course, because you've got Reggie Wayne, you've got Michael Irvin. I mean, what's his? I don't know why I'm asking you.
Give me another one. I'm trying to think too.
Houston Texans played against me, us in the national championship game. My gosh.
Yeah, I know. I'm going.
Andre Johnson. Thank you, Pat. Schlegs, you are about as useful as a paperweight.
I know, man.
And then, of course,
I'm like a 2.5-pound plate right now.
You are. They're doing nothing. So Miami at a little over 100,000, and then Ohio State, dude, 117,000 yards. And you think of all the dudes in there and all the guys they have, like kind of at the cusp at the beginning of their careers, and from Garrett Wilson to Marv, Emeka, everybody that's just out there. What's his name up in Seattle? The CT.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Good job. Thank you. You helped me with one guy.
313 yards in the Rose Bowl, Bob.
Yeah, that's true. So they've got a lot of guys, and then I'm sure Jeremiah Smith will help that number eventually when he gets there, as well as a lot of the other guys that are going to be heading in. But that was big news. I'm like, dude, you say wide receiver you. All right, wide receiving NFL yards. There it is. That's it. That's the answer. Buckeyes. A lot of that was done. I mean, we were talking going back to like Chris Carter, Paul Warfield, Terry Glenn, Joey Galloway, David Boston, Jenkins, Gonzalez, Ginn, Santonio Holmes. Like all of those dudes, they had dudes. I mean, heck, even our guy Dane Sanzenbacher. And you know what's interesting with this? We'll bring this up in our headlines. Oh yeah, Hill, Marvin Harrison, Devin Smith. I mean, they've got dudes. Doug Donnelly, White Lightning was his name back in the day. So obviously a pretty elite, pretty elite list to be a part of. But there's one guy here, Schlegs, that's added to this list who wasn't even on that one. And we'll save that tease for a little later in the program because we've got the one and only Mr. Jeremy Birmingham. I like to call him Bitter Berm because he likes to bring the negativity. But today, I think since the national championship, he's been positive, Berm. And I think we might be heading to a positive realm. Ohio State's recruiting numbers are really good. I'm sure Berm's had an awesome time just living at the Woody. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to bring him in here next. But first, attention parents and athletes. Protect what matters most with Export mouthguards, trusted by professional athletes and designed by NHL team dentists. Export mouthguards are scientifically tested to help absorb those high-impact hits, protecting both your teeth and your brain. Export mouthguards feature 3 layers of advanced protection, including a patented use of carbon fiber. They custom 3D print that bad boy to your own grill for more protection, better performance, max comfort, and clear communication so you can focus on your game, not on your gear. Don't take chances with your safety, folks. Go to exportguards.com/Bobby and save 15% on your order. Export, protect what matters most. it's amazing that people, Schlegs, all of the people out here that watch the show that are deaf, your interpretive sign language helps them get through that. And I don't know where they were at the last 4 days without you. Jeremy Birmingham coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, welcome back into the Bobby Carpenter Show, and just setting up some stuff for Schlegs, our guy Shark, who's going to be retiring here. He has 12 work days left in his life. Yeah, I said unless he gets plucked, as Rothman put it, by one of the different online scams, and they go in and steal all his retirement money, and then he has to go back to work. Which getting the text from the DMV about me needing to give them information and this and that so I don't lose my license on June 12th. But it's a lie because Ohio, it's the BMV, not the DMV. Buckeyes. Berm, slide him on in here. He's been waiting far too long. I know.
Oh, look at that
just
guy.
long enough.
Look at the positive. Dude, listen, he's like Matt Foley. We've had him in the basement, been juicing up.
Huge.
Yeah, big head, large face. That's all the time at the Woody. Berm. How many hours do you think we've logged in the Woody Haze over the last 2 weeks?
I don't know. We're talking basically 6 a day for 4 days, so 24, 48. I mean, that's good math, right?
Yeah.
Productive. It's been an efficient 2 weeks for Ohio State, as you know, Bob. Like as a business goes, the Buckeyes are about as good as it gets, making sure that their things are streamlined and making sure that time is not wasted. Every minute of every camp day has a purpose. And what we've seen is Ohio State really show their ability to adapt on the fly because the weather's been kind of weird. And then they're taking guys inside, taking them outside, putting them in the basketball court, putting them in the team room. It's a lot of fun actually seeing how Tim Hinton and these boys get stuff done.
I want to ask you about this. So they had 4, I believe, Berm, like 1-day camps. And I freaking hate camps. I do. I mean, you got these kids. I'm being dead serious with everybody. Like, you got these kids, they just go out there and they're running a 40 at this camp, and 3 days later they're running a 40 at this camp, and 2 days later they're running a 40 at this camp. And I'm just like, dude, like, go play football. Like, that's what matters. But I want to add, here's my question for you. In regards to Ohio State and how they handle their top level prospects at this, what kind of separates them? Because I've heard some things and I saw some stuff from a linebacker talking about the way James coached him. And I thought that was really cool. But, as we're trying to get these guys, how important is that? And how does Ohio State separate themselves during these type of one-off camps to really put their best foot forward from a university, a program, and a coaching perspective?
One thing I always hear, Schlegs, is that the players who are camping walk away feeling like they got coached very hard, like they got coached as if they were a part of their team. And that is the same for a kid who's heading into 9th grade, who's never going to play at Ohio State, or a kid from Louisiana who earns a scholarship offer from Brian Hartline. I think, to me, as I watch it, that's one thing that always stands out. Doesn't matter if it's James Laurinaitis, doesn't matter if it's Larry Johnson, doesn't matter if it's Tyler Bowen. They're coaching every single kid that is in their line exceptionally hard. And that is something that differs. I think you're right about some of the measurable stuff. I don't know that it's worth every kid running a 40, but 95% of the kids that are at Ohio State for one of these 1-day camp sessions is there just to tell their friends that they got coached by James Laurinaitis 10 years from now. Like, they're not really, they know they're not Ohio State caliber players. And so the Buckeyes coaching staff does a great job of identifying who those main guys are going to be, who those players that they really need to get time with are. But then for the other guys, the kids around Ohio that just want to be at a Buckeyes camp, it still means a lot to them when Devin Jordan is pulling them aside, or anybody who pulls these guys aside and says, hey, this is how you do things. Matt Guerreri doesn't take it easy on a kid. Neither does Tim Walton. Neither does anybody. So that's to me, that's one thing that always gets brought up by recruits who are there camping.
That's awesome. It's great to see that. And they take it seriously. I got a chance to watch some of the one-on-ones over there and the kids battling back and forth. And it's pretty fun stuff. Was there anybody, I know sometimes they, like, especially for the 26s, they pretty much have most of that cooked, but occasionally you find somebody, and Tress always brings up the Malcolm Jenkins, who was the guy that nobody knew about, who just kept hopping up in front of the line. Like, was there anybody that flashed that they maybe didn't expect over these last couple of days?
I don't know that there's anybody that I would say we didn't expect. There was a 2028 wide receiver from North Carolina last Thursday at the first camp who was not on the list of like guys to go get. There's not on the list of, hey, we know this kid's coming in. And then he ended up being probably the star of the camp. His name is Braylon Clark. He's a wide receiver. But Brian Hartline bringing in star wide receivers isn't really that foreign at this point. Monday, we saw probably the top 2028 receiver in the country named Bryson Wright from Florida, who was on campus. So every day there's somebody else that shows up. The first day camp, we had Jalen Brewster, the number 1 ranked defensive tackle in the country in the class of 2027, pop up in Columbus and work out, a guy that nobody really knew was going to be there. And then we find out that his dad's from Cincinnati and his mom's from Indianapolis, and he's got all these Midwest ties. And so, most of the time when we're there, we're looking for the stories that are percolating underneath the surface, because we know if Ohio State is having a kid come into camp that he's a pretty athletic dude and a kid with a chance to be a special football player. But it's the stories that really matter.
So I want to follow up on that. And you mentioned, the big time tackle that comes in. And I always said, like, when Ohio State gets guys from California or Texas, and a lot of times there's always some tie back to Ohio, whether grandparents went to Ohio State, maybe they're from a city in Ohio or different things. How important is that when you start to see that, when you're talking about bringing in these big time national recruits?
It's massive. I mean, we can go back to 2021. Donovan Jackson, who was the number 1 ranked offensive tackle in the country at the time, is from Texas, but all of his family's from Springfield, Ohio. So once you have that poll, Bert Kreischer said earlier this week that Ohio is the best place in the world. I think that's what he said. I think he said Ohio. I think he said Ohio is the greatest place in the world, and it's true. Everyone knows it. So when you go away from it, like Jalen Brewster, his dad has an Ohio State Buckeyes tattoo on his body. Okay, like that's not a guy who just is like, oh, I was born in Ohio. Like, this is a dude from Cincinnati who loves them Bucks. Okay, so that door gets blown wide open. And we're living in a world now where there are so many ties. I mean, hell, I was disappointed on Thursday that I didn't see one Robert Carpenter working out with James Laurinaitis and Cooper Witten because of your relationship.
Oh, gosh, was he there on yesterday?
The elder Witten, I assumed you would be there working out with Cooper. But there's ties and connections now that are forming all over the place. And it's not even just guys from Ohio. It's because the Ohio State brand and network has grown so large. And we see it not just with Ohio State, but like Notre Dame. We're seeing a lot of kids who are from NFL families who have parents who played in the league, or like they're like, hey, these are the coaches I want to gravitate towards, the ones that have played, the ones that have been around. And that's where Ohio State, especially these coaches, Tim Walton, a guy who played at Ohio State, Brian Hartline, obviously James Laurinaitis, you have Devin Jordan, you have guys inside of the program that can say, hey, I've done this. And there's nobody better at doing that, in my opinion, than James Laurinaitis, which I think is interesting to see how things go with Cooper Witten, because he looked really darn good on Thursday, better than I anticipated for a 27 linebacker.
You know what? You brought up a great point. As the NFL guys have kids, or people watch where their kids go, or when you were bringing up the dad that had the Buckeye tattoo, kind of reminds me of Dwayne Haskins, how he always wanted to be a Buckeye. And like, there's just that pull to it. And then I heard, Evans was talking about a Mecca, that he looks like a running back, but catches like Goodwin. And like, he's just a bona fide dude already out the gate. That resonates with people. And they're like, oh, I want my kid to go to that type of school. Huge pull. Let me ask you about this. In terms of the new 105, like how much, and being able to have like a little bit more breadth and reach in your recruiting for scholarships, how do you see Ohio State navigating that? Because all the guys that you said, like good families, good dudes, I think it's one of the things that makes Ohio State unique in Ryan's approach to it. How do you see that rolling forward and moving forward now as we go from 125 or whatever you want to a solid 105, Burr?
I mean, I think that remains to be seen. The Buckeyes, from what I've heard, are looking to go from 85 to 90 on the scholarship count for football, which will change some things, especially in the state of Ohio. I think you can start to add maybe an offensive lineman or two every cycle that in past years you wouldn't take because you only had 85 scholarships, and now you have a little bit more room to play with. How the scholarship money goes separated to the walk-ons, how they deal with the $18 million, all that stuff is really up in the air still. We talked to, obviously, Ross Bjork on Thursday for a long time at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, and there's still a ton of questions that have to be answered. But Ohio State, like everyone, has gotten pretty used to having 120, 125 plus guys on the roster to get you through practices. And now you have to figure out how to be more diligent. Ohio State, probably more than anybody in the last couple of years, has been ahead of the curve when it comes to rest management and making sure that guys, I mean, last year, Schlegs, you were around the team a lot last spring. Like, Jack, JT, all those guys that have played the 2,000 snaps or whatever, like they didn't do much. So it's going to be fascinating, I think, because what it really does is it opens up the door for the young guys that maybe in past years would have to wait until the middle part of the season to really start getting those practice reps. I think you can do that now. How it impacts the 105 to 120, that is a total guess. And I'm not even going to posit one because I don't want to sound like an idiot. But the Buckeyes are going to be like everyone else, trying to figure out how do you manage this roster now, because the games are getting longer and longer. You're going to 17 games a year, and now you have less and less players, and it becomes much harder to balance that.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. Be right back with more with Berm in a minute.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, here with our guy, Jeremy Birmingham, still doing a great job. You can see him now on the, we call it the Austin and Berm.
The Austin and Berm show on 97.1 The Fan. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
10 TV Plus, everywhere that everything that we were doing before, you can find us doing now on the Austin and Berm show. It's a very original name. We spent a lot of time workshopping it. That's what we came up with. The
AB show, man.
Well, we thought about that, but there was at one point a different podcast in the Ohio State market that utilized those initials, and we figured we should not step on toes. So we just went with the Austin and Berm show. I dubbed it Tabs. Austin doesn't like that because he has no sense of humor and no ability to think on his toes.
That's really good. I love it. People have asked about the Rooster show. I've been talking with Austin. I know you guys are working. We're trying to get that back here.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. Folks miss it, so trying to bring them the stuff that they love.
Bob, it may perfectly align with the Olentangy location being back up and running in August. Who knows? That would be nice. I enjoyed the Henderson Road hospitality, but I think that the overall setup for us at Olentangy was perfect for what we used to do on that show, and hopefully, I think they're back up and running there before the season starts. So come along.
Absolutely. I've been driving by them, doing a lot of work on it, and it's looking good. Favor, a key local guy out of Delaware, just committed. I want to say later last week.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday. I got a chance to meet with his family. Awesome family. They're very excited about him coming here, Ohio State and Carlos Lachlan. Like, talk a little bit about him and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, Favor is a really interesting player. He's a guy that I think in the new era of college football, the new era of NIL, of transfer portals, of all those things, like in previous years, and I want to be careful how I word this because it's not meant to put the kid down. He's the number 15 ranked running back in the country. In previous years, I think people would look at that and say, well, could Ohio State have done better at running back? And they're still looking for another. Derek Cooper, who's a borderline 5-star running back, he'll visit next weekend in an official capacity. And he's a player from Jeremiah Smith's high school. Buckeyes have a good relationship down there at Chaminade Madonna. But Favor, 5'11", 195 pounds, a guy that potentially I mean, if his career doesn't pan out on offense, is athletic enough, physical enough to maybe play some safety down the road. Really explosive player, tough runner between the tackles. Only played football for like 3 years. Definitely not a guy that's a finished product by any means. He's added 20 pounds since last season, as Mick Marotti and the Buckeyes have given him some goals to try to hit as far as, his commitment and where they want him to be. Favor Aki is the type of player you have to build a program around. Okay, like you can't win in this era because you can't recruit 85 Jeremiah Smiths. Okay, so you can recruit 10 Jeremiah Smiths, or maybe one of him and 10 normal exceptional humans. But guys like Favor Aki are how you build a program and maintain one. Super smart kid. He's a nerd. He's into like computer programming and coding. A kid that cares about more than just life on the field, and that is what Ohio State's built itself around. And now he's in a position where Carlos Locke, if the Buckeyes do not add a commitment from Derek Cooper or Savion Hyder, another 5-star running back who visited, they're totally content with Favor Aki, knowing that you have James Peoples in his second year, Sam Williams-Dixon in his second year, and 3 first-year backs in Isaiah West, Bo Jackson, and Turbo Rogers, who are all on campus now. So the depth is interesting at running back, and they'd probably still like one more just to make sure that the talent level pushes the current guys and makes them keep working. But Favor Aki is where you start a class. And again, you want to build from inside out anymore. Ohio has a lot of really talented players. More and more, the money aspect of things gets in the way for out-of-state players. And so if you can find a guy like this in the state, you can't dilly-dally.
Yeah, you brought up a great point because you were talking, this is earlier, you were talking about Ross Bjork, our athletic director. And I've heard some stuff, people are like, thanks, Gene and Ross, for our facilities, when Cincinnati just unveils a $134 million facility that looked amazing. How do you think he's done year one? A lot of stuff that he's had to navigate, a lot of things that have been thrown on his plate. You have the first college football playoff. You have now going to this pool of money that you have to somehow figure out. They got the new NIL thing that they branded at Ohio State, probably the first of its kind. How do you think he's doing? How was he opening up and being transparent with you guys as you were talking to him for a long time at the Woody? I've
found my personal interactions with Ross Bjork in year one to be really, really exceptional. I think that I'll be honest with you. Like a lot of people, when he was hired, I think there was some skepticism and saying, hey, is this the right man for the job? People see what happened at Ole Miss. People see the contract for Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M. They think that the guy doesn't like, and I'm going to bring up someone here that everyone knows and loves, and Kerry Combs. Okay. It's kind of a weird transition, but bear with me.
No, it's okay.
Kerry Combs was a phenomenal cornerback coach and recruiter. Did not excel as a defensive coordinator. Sometimes you're the right man for the wrong job at the wrong time or whatever. I think Ross Bjork is the perfect man for what Ohio State needs out of this era of its athletic director. And I think he's proven that in year one. He talked about on Thursday, it was the highest fundraising year in the history of Ohio State football, over $80 million fundraised. Like, this is what he is. He is a fundraiser. He is a thinker. He is a money guy. We are in a different era. And it's not to suggest that Gene Smith wouldn't thrive in this era, but much like I don't think Urban Meyer would be a very successful head coach, football coach in this new era of the sport, I think that the time has come for someone like Ross who sees things a little different, whose focus is a little different. It's not about names on buildings as much as it is just, hey, we have to get ourselves modernized. We have to keep updating. And he's a guy that sees that. And I think he's been a perfect fit. And again, I know people similar to Matt Patricia when he was hired, people like, hey, is this the right guy? It maybe not always, but in this moment, he's the perfect guy. And Ross has proven that over and over, I think.
Thoughts on any of the quarterbacks? And I want to say they got a commitment on a kid from California, if I'm not mistaken.
They have a borderline 5-star commitment in the class of 2027 from California. His name is Brady Edmonds. His family, speaking of what we were talking about earlier, his entire family is from the Cleveland area. Tons of ties to the Midwest. He's camped at Ohio State the last 3 summers. He committed last November. Interestingly enough, Ohio State still does not have a 2026 quarterback commitment. And so that's where there's a lot of machinations and trying to figure out what you do here. They are hosting a kid from California named Philip Fahey next weekend for an official visit. He does not have an offer. So I can't recall ever Ohio State hosting a player that didn't have an offer for an official visit. So I kind of would expect that he is offered next weekend when he makes the trip, because it'll be a first visit. But they are also kind of deciding if they want to take a second and 27. So it's like a whole weird thing. They had the number 1 ranked quarterback in the country on Thursday in town. Name is Elijah Haven from Louisiana, but did not offer him. But then they offered a 2029 quarterback. So a kid who's entering his freshman year. The last one of those that I can remember was Kuan Ewer. So it's fun to watch, but it is confusing as ever, because I personally, even though I'm somebody who loves the recruiting side, I hate how fast the calendar has moved up and how quickly we are talking about these kids as a kid entering his freshman year as a quarterback just got an offer from Ohio State.
All right, before we get you out of here, anything else of note? They've got OVs this weekend. I know from Glenville, Sincere.
Yep. Sincere Johnson and Jameer Perez, both of those Glenville kids. Jameer Perez is committed to Florida. I would be shocked if he is still committed to Florida by the end of June. That would be somewhat surprising. Again, it's too early to talk about a lot of this stuff, but the Buckeyes did get their first 2028 commitment on Friday morning from a running back, Elijah Newman Hall. He's from Tampa. He was on campus on Tuesday. He's a 15-year-old running back that looks like a 28-year-old running back. He is clearly their top target in the class of 2028. Carlos Loughlin had him on campus on Tuesday. He's committed on Friday morning. Crazy to talk about a kid going into a sophomore year that way, but he is he's a borderline like top player in the class type of prospect at his position. So he had to say yes.
So whenever you see guys like that, we call him the Beanie Wells, because when I met Beanie Wells on his visit with Pittman, I thought he was actually Pittman's uncle. So he's like,
so
no,
big, dude.
We're bringing him in. I'm like, dude, he's like 220 pounds and has a full beard. He looks like LeBron James's like little brother. So that's awesome to see, Berm. We appreciate the time.
Glad to
Get some rest. See your family. You're back up at home finally for the first time in a while, and not.
It's been a week. Enjoy your Father's Day weekend, guys. I hope you get a chance to father stuff.
Father stuff. Absolutely. We appreciate it, Berm. Have a good one,
See you, brother.
Yeah.
That is our guy, Mr. Jeremy Birmingham, who said his favorite song by Pearl Jam is, in fact, Jeremy Schlegs. I want to tell you about this. Our good friends over at Backer, that's bckr.com, a brand new brand, premium brand with premium products, Buckeye gear all over the place, the best hats and coats you're going to find. It's going to be raining this weekend. I want to use my Backer rain jacket when I'm out with some lacrosse. Costs a little more, but it's tremendous. And some of that extra cost, what's going back to the players for some NIL. So a portion of all the proceeds are going back to Ohio State student athletes. And Father's Day's coming up. I don't know if they can get it there by then, but expedited shipping for free. BOBBY, all caps. We'll take care of that for you here when you check out. That's backer.com, bckr.com. Go check them out. We got our headlines coming up next.
Creative, experience, results. That's what drives growth. That's what builds brands. That's Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service agency built on trust, strategy, and performance, not fluff. From bold strategies to flawless execution, every campaign is rooted in smart planning and driven by clear goals. We don't chase clicks. We build partnerships. We show up, dig in, and deliver every single time. Lake Spur Marketing. The proof is in our partners.
All right, now to our headlines, brought to you by friends over at Lake Spur Marketing, a full-service ad agency built on the things you love, the trust, the strategy, the performance. They do it all and do it all bigly. Lake Spur team shields you and your team from the outside noise, the cold callers, the things you don't want to deal with. They let you get your stuff done. They let you work on your business. That's what you want to do. They'll help you grow it. With over 100 years of marketing experience, Lake Spur Marketing eliminates waste and delivers on time and on budget. They don't chase the clicks. They build partnerships. Lake Spur Marketing, the proof is in the partners. All right, Schlegs, we're talking about some Buckeye receivers, and I saw this in here, and I know he's one of your favorites because you may or may not have gotten in a verbal altercation with him that could have turned physical.
I already know who you're talking about.
And he was, I thought you were going to throw him off the cardio deck during a workout before he was ultimately suspended from Ohio State. But I saw this come up, and so you know how hard it is to play a position in the NFL.
Yes.
I can't even imagine playing a position that you never played before, really without any coaching and moving to the NFL. And so Terrelle Pryor, it's statute of limitations, I think, is passed. It's been 15 years. Dude, it's like, as you know, one of the freakiest athletes, long range speed, crazy fast, and played quarterback at Ohio State, played quarterback with the Raiders, goes to the Browns. And the fact he ended up passing on that long-term deal and how everything went was crazy. But he had over 1,000 yards that he's contributed to that without ever taking a snap at receiver in college and playing quarterback in the NFL for his first couple years. Pat, roll the tape as we slide this over, because this was him playing for the Browns and contributing to that 1,017 passing yards. And like Schlegs, it's crazy. Like, you look at this dude, like just catching and running around as if he's been playing receiver his whole life. So big, so fast. Like I said, over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he's huge.
Dude, so big and 235. You know, like dunking on dudes. And these are NFL cornerbacks.
Yeah.
Is that really RG3 throwing to him? That is remarkable.
I remember, guys, he would remember, Bob, you and I just got done playing Vince Young. He's in there. It's like 2011, whatever. Same stature, same size, a strider, a lot like Vince Young. And to be able to have that ability, Bob, where it's like, oh, I'm going to go play wide receiver in the NFL, never having done it, and then actually go out there and attribute to the 117,000 yards. I mean, guys, like that's a lot of yards from a lot of Buckeyes. He was a freak. He was a freak for sure.
It's unbelievable. When I saw that and I'm watching him, like, and then he turned down a deal. They had like a 4-year, $40 million deal. He turned it down and tried to get more, and it was a mess. And it was never really the same. And it stinks. Because honestly, after everything happened, like with Tress getting fired, I wanted the best for him, though, at least when he got in the NFL. I know Tress always did as well. All right, that's it for our headlines today. But I just saw that. I was like, man, got to throw that in there. Just remember, with the wide receivers and everything that they've done in the NFL, no one even thinks about him because he played quarterback. Buckeyes. But we've got our tailgate talk brought to you by our friends at Real Truck coming up next. Get your questions fired away, and we'll get them answered up for you here on the Bobby Carpenter Show. All right. And now we're back in the Bobby Carpenter Show. Please, if you're watching, like, subscribe, leave your questions, comments, get in the chat. We love all the support and love the folks that are starting to watch this thing live every day. Yesterday, Schlegs, I don't know if you saw what I said you might be doing on vacation, or what we maybe would have done in college, where the two fellas in Arkansas were arrested for putting on bulletproof vests and shooting each other while they were drinking. Yeah, and we were talking about the different, like, first of all, who called the cops? Like, did one of the guys call them on each other? I was like, maybe one of the neighbors. Well, I was like, maybe one of the neighbors. I'm like, I doubt they were doing it like in the middle of the day. This is probably more of a nighttime thing, and probably disturbing the peace and disorderly conduct and things like that. So that probably is what got him there. But we had a comment come in yesterday, because the question was like, what round would we shoot him with? Do you shoot him with like a little 8 millimeter, little 22, or do you do like 45 with bigger slugs? And our guy Canopy Crusader from yesterday said, I was a police officer in Columbus years ago, and the small rounds are not the way to go, because a ballistic vest is tightly wound fibers. Knives, arrows, and small projectiles will work their way through the fibers. Sometimes they come with a plate protected heart. Typically, they're designed to stop larger rounds. What happens when the large round hits is disperses the energy. Typically, the ribs get broken. Oh, gosh. And there's severe internal damage from the shock. It's supposed to stop large rounds from blowing large holes in your body, but it has extreme limitations. There you go.
Sounds like a terrible idea. And I wonder, I mean, like, I remember just you flash it up, and I also saw that on the IG feed at some point of things that I'm looking at, but it's like, I'm sure they didn't have like a ton of money that they're just going out and like buying the best vest.
Well, that's
You
the
know,
other thing. I go, who takes the first test with the vest?
Hey, it's like did they just go to like the Rogue Boneyard and buy like the plate carrier and just stick like the 20-pound cast iron things in there on the front? Just like, okay, like you got to shoot it right here. Like this is the belt. This is the heart of that. Let's see if this works. Give it to me, and you're right. Is it a 9mm or a 45? I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in that test.
Let's do that. Let's go down to the farm. We'll get a 45. Like, you think you can't take a couple rib cracks? Like, get it right in there.
Sometimes you just want to feel the contact and know that you're alive. Maybe that's where they're at. Just to challenge yourself that you still got it. That could be one of the ways. I would opt for something a little different and safer now that I have responsibilities. But back then, I probably wouldn't have cared.
And so here's the question. Like I was talking to AJ, it's like, I could see us maybe doing this when we were in college. It's like, but how close do you want to be? Because, I mean, you want to take a
be
little
too far?
But if you're too far and you miss the vest, then you just end up with like a gut shot. Or like
it sounds terrible.
Yeah. You got to make sure you actually hit the target area of where you're shooting at. And so like too much to drink might also impede that and make that a little more difficult. Yeah, that's fine.
Hey, Joe put on the chat, like, that guy does not look like me, okay?
Oh,
I'm telling you, I saw the picture.
Looks like you actually back in college, which is what's amazing. That's it for our tailgate talk. We got our dude of the week coming up next. All right, for dude of the week, we got a couple things here. Number one, we got Mya Lesnar, the daughter, because dude's not a gender, it's a lifestyle. The daughter of Brock Lesnar wins the NCAA shot put championship with her first throw, Schlegs, 19 meters. So you add that out, that's about 60 feet. And so that's the daughter of Brock Lesnar getting that power. Look at this. Look at this whip. Whip it around. Whoosh. Yeah. I mean, would you rather get hit in the chest with that or get hit in the shot in the chest with a bulletproof vest on?
I don't know. That sounds terrible. You got to stand there. It's like one of those things where you just got to stand there and just take it. You can't move.
I would probably rather take the bulletproof vest and get hit with that, to tell you the truth. Because
honestly, that's probably something that we could do, Bob's. Like you go down to Pickaway County and you do like the bull thing. Yeah. That might actually be somewhat a kind of appropriate, like sit at the poker table type deal. Anyways, yeah, she's impressive. Hey, throw mine up there. Maxwell Moldovan, he's a Buckeye. First hole at Oakmont. And again, I'm trying to watch this through spotty Wi-Fi. I think when this was going down, I might have been at a perfect day in Coco Cay. I don't remember. However, he got a 2 at Oakmont on the first eagle. Pretty impressive. First time it's ever happened at Oakmont in a U.S. Open. And guess what? Buckeye. There you go.
189 yards out, dude. Put it in there.
What are you hitting right there, Bob? What are you hitting? 189.
Well,
now it's kind of downhill. It runs in.
I would probably be – he dropped it short and it ran in.
Yes.
It looked like he tried to hit it about 170. 170, I'd probably hit a 6. I'm trying to make sure that I'm not over hitting it. And
that's right.
That's probably where I would be.
I like that.
Also, one other thing, like you weren't here on Monday, and we talked about this. My son, third son, Cullen, got baptized. And very proud day for us, for him being a dad. But dude of the week, we actually got it done by Sean Lane, who we played with Schlegs, and that was a very special thing. So I know we don't have anything to throw up with that, but I was just thinking about that. I'm like, you know what, man, Sean, for baptizing my son, it was awesome. Very pumped about that. And there's my dude, Sean Lane, from behind, dipping him in there. So my boys are actually outside fighting with my mom right now, and so that means we're just about out of time. So thank you for staying locked in here. We'll catch up with you Monday on the Bobby Carpenter.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.